3, 2. All right. Hi, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Eric Cummings, with my co-host, Fresh.
Hello, I'm Mr. Fresh. We're going to be talking about the first thing we're going to be talking about is the delegate to the Revolutionary Council, E.T. Galaxy, who recently visited South Carolina, which was also recently
Pretty.
made into I think a workers' council or workers' state.
Suck.
When
Syndicate.
he when he was when he was when he was visiting, he was actually attacked by a longest partisan. Uh, Actually, let me just let him describe for a little bit. So
Yeah, let him
take
describe. I think
take
it's
away.
better.
Yeah. Thank you. I was just visiting the city of New Orleans in Louisiana, which is now the capital of the Louisiana United Syndicate. Um, Out of nowhere, a guy from a bush attempted to assassinate me. This man was apprehended. Turns out he is a member of the Minuteman militia. So I'm hoping to launch an investigation into that, and I will be
Turns out it
visiting
was actually
New
a
Orleans
bushwhacker.
tomorrow. Perhaps.
Definitely.
A
Yes,
bushwhacker?
sir.
Would you like to comment on that? John Jack Reed, what'd you say?
I think this man was apparently a bushwhacker. Given the way he attempted to kill our fellow comrade, I am basically saying that he could have basically tried to kill us, him as a part of reclaiming the American Union state for. But that's just a theory of mine. It wouldn't actually be. It wouldn't actually
Well, I
happen, but I think
assume
it is.
I assume that's true, but I don't think it was probably for reclaiming the Union State. I think it was more as revenge,
Yeah, I
because it's
think
pretty
so.
solidified the
Yeah,
fact
this
that
is
the Union
Seems like
State has
we're
been a failure.
solidifying the lost cause even further. The second lost cause.
it seems this is like part of an underground like AUS resistance movement. I think
Yes,
there's like
I've
attempts
heard
for like a second uprising by the AUS.
we might have to
I have heard reports of that.
unionize
Yes.
the forces even more. We must prevent this from happening further.
Okay. Do you have any comments on how you would do that, Reed? After all, you are
I'm
like a
Oh,
politician.
I
what do you
just
wanna?
basically want to say that these perpetrators, if you're listening to this, I want you to know that we will not tolerate your underground resistance movement even further. Because if you want to come by our door, if you want to basically terrorize our people, I got my. We have the Union militias to the Red National Guard to deal with you any time. I'm
Hmm.
not playing. That will happen.
So, a quick,
Uh,
a quick question,
Well,
Galaxy.
okay.
What does your state people believe? Like, what do they think of this whole attempt assassination on you?
Like what is because I don't think I'm really like affiliated with like a regional syndicate right now. I'm affiliated with like an ecological syndicate. Um,
All right.
Overall, I
Anyways,
haven't
what?
really heard a lot about like what.
So you haven't heard anything about the council or anything having a major issue about this situation? I know that John Reed is
Yeah, I
doing
haven't
an
heard much.
investigation on it, but you wouldn't have any thing going on about it.
uh, if
It's
I could,
Investigation into Louisiana
okay. Okay. So investigation in Louisiana. Okay.
from like the Revolutionary Council. Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
Okay. Okay.
We should launch an official commission into
I
this.
personally, I was gonna recommend that this kind of proves that the revolution isn't over. You can win a war, but you need to go further. You have to start rooting out the reactionary
Hey, how's
elements,
it
and
going? I
that
thank you
Burn
for
down
requires.
the South.
Okay,
thank you for
whoa,
stopping
No,
by.
we should not do that.
Oh, that
No,
was a
whoa,
because
very
whoa
Sorry to
there.
interrupt, but
reactionary comment by
when I
AP.
was
Member.
Uh,
sorry to interrupt, but when I was gone from the AOS, a lot of weird things happened in AOS. Like a group of 3 people created a personality code about me. And obviously I have never known about this because they think I'm some hero sort. When I even didn't do anything, and
hmm,
and also as the PSA resistance leader, we have been doing bombings all around the South against the AOS by disguising the planes as AOS planes and by bombing Atlanta, DC.
Uh,
Uh,
as the commissar of the Air Force, nobody ever talked to me about remaining enemy air forces. I was under the impression that we simply had some terrorist elements in parts of the South, as what
yeah,
happened to Comrade Galaxy there. My office would not tolerate active enemy resistance on that magnitude. And if I may get back to my point,
So how much
uh, I,
of enemy activity is going on in the air, Dad?
I wasn't aware of any. This is the first time I've heard of it,
So
and
Well,
so the Pacific
basically,
State has a little better information on radar than you do.
well, to be completely fair, I'm not in charge of technological development. I'm in charge of the Air Force. And to be blunt, our Air Force isn't in the best state right now, but I hadn't even been told. I thought somebody would, perhaps tell the commissar, we're encountering enemy activity in the recently conquered South. And I was never told of this. But to get back to my point, we need to push this further. We have to start rooting out these reactionary elements. And as much as I hate to say it, we will require a bit more force in that matter. In my personal opinion, my comrades on my right have been a bit too soft on these Americans that we have brought back into the fold. And we need to start going a bit further in our, how do you put it, our reunification of the country.
also,
Yes.
basically as the resistance leader, we have also
wait.
yes,
I just want to ask a quick question.
yeah,
Who
yeah.
exactly are you?
Yeah, bro.
That's a
I
good
am
question.
I'm Senate. I'm a PSA global resistance leader of the PSA Resistability Force, and
What?
used to be AOS
The
exile.
Why do we have
wait.
a
Hold on,
enemy?
you guys said from the last time I talked to you in the stream, that the Pacific State of America surrendered to the uh,
Combined syndicates, yeah.
yes, the combined
Yes, of
syndicate,
course.
and I was being one to have him talk later, not right now. Uh, what's going like what's you thinking of the connection or unification of America under as a PSA soldier? But now he's
Uh,
bringing more information in about what's going on. There's been conflicts going on in the air, so it has to be more. Looks
Comrades.
it looks like there has to be more
Yes,
issues going
comrade.
on in the PSA than there is on the border of Canada.
yeah. In the PSA, there's an ongoing civil war between the military junta and the remnants of the PSA government. After Dagda
As military
resigned,
coup.
everything started to break. And then the military junta marched and officially took over the government. And then that's when the PSA civil war officially started.
Is
Comrades,
this like
comrades,
late information or?
comrades, comrades. I would like to just keep in mind that whatever Comrade Hoy's for Senate is regarding a different timeline
Yeah.
where the Union won.
Yes,
I was gonna
in
The
the
say, like,
PSA loss. I would like to keep that in mind.
thank
What
you, my
happened,
friend.
what happened actually was in reality that Mr. President Dagda had formerly cooperated with our SDLU and radical socialist comrades with regards to unification in their
Yeah,
region.
that was my
And so,
impression.
Okay. So
and that was the impression.
somebody's living in the past a little
With
too much.
some, yes, with some discordant elements of the SDLU's more social democratic wing and a good portion of the decentralist wing of the USAP, we were able to coordinate a sort of reunification with a majority support from the CSA. Now, keep in mind that in order for us to properly reintegrate the Pacific states into the CSA
All right,
proper
no problem. Hey,
as states,
I was gonna just interrupt.
we
Hey,
had to. Oh, sorry. Just wanted to finish that we had to formulate a proper procedure with trying to integrate syndicalist slash socialist ideas into these Pacific regions. Now, we are aware that many of the Pacific states do not necessarily lean socialist and syndicalist, of course. And we are aware that a lot of other elements specifically the 21st Mountain Rangers have done some actions around the Cheyenne Mountains. If there is ever a time of delay, but we would like to keep in mind that a good majority of this was democratic, and the PSA
Mm.
did democratically reunify with our government,
So
and
essentially,
we have treated them as comrades, as people, and we are slowly showing them, or I guess reconstructing the PSA states
All right, no
mm,
problem.
within the combined syndicate.
All right,
That is
well,
all.
I was gonna bring up is hey, comrade, Senate, we'll have you on Saturday. We'll talk a little bit more later about that. Okay. So can we catch you on Saturday if plausible?
Yeah, sure. I'm free on Saturday.
Okay.
mm,
I'll let you know what the time. All right. So, anyways, let's get on this topic subject of the Constitution. So, what has been passed
ah,
already for the first half of the Constitution?
oh my,
It was
uh,
a disastrous defeat for us.
oh my God,
All
comrade.
right. One of you guys got to. Dad, you want to start first or Thermal?
I am the party chair. I technically I not even technically. I represent the party.
Well,
Yes, let him speak first.
okay. All right. Continue. Go ahead.
So, uh, as I discussed before we started briefly, our resolution, our combined resolution with the Social Democratic Labor Union and the centralized wing of the United Syndicalist Party of America, uh, we failed by, I think, about 3 votes. And
Wh-
due to that,
What was the vote? How many people voted, and what was the vote?
uh, it was the vote on the second article of the Constitution, essentially the structure of the country in terms of states or syndicates. And of course, the syndicates won. Uh, about, oh, this is rather,
How many? You don't know how many people voted?
it's rather, how do you say,
Because I
convoluted.
know right now there's only 13 states right now has majority capability of voting versus the
Yeah.
rest. And because after the war, there's only 13 that has more power versus the rest at the time being until they slowly integrated into the Constitution and the rest of the state.
Mm.
So are we having only 13 represented right now until we fully complete the Constitution of the Syndicate of America?
That I'm not sure about. All I know is we lost the vote, 11 in favor to 8 against. So
Okay, there you go.
we
That's
lost about 3,
so
which is a
there's
bit
20 of you.
painful.
Okay, so
Yeah. But essentially, due to that failure, I had launched a vote of no confidence in my leadership, and I passed, thankfully. I don't think anybody in the party actually wanted me to resign, but it didn't feel right to not offer a change in leadership. Um, Going forward, I suppose, the ALP is strictly against cooperation with the anarchists, mainly because we generally disagree on almost every conceivable issue. But I would like to state now we are still open to discussion and conciliatory action with the syndicalists and the social democrats to hopefully overcome this problem of these, how do you put it, these constitutional votes. I'm confident that we'll win a few. We probably won't win the big ones, but we'll definitely at least get a few things in there.
all right, what was some of the ones that has passed?
Well, again, minus the second article, which is about the construction of the country. I believe the first article. What exactly was that?
Bill of Rights. It was the Bill of
Yes,
Rights.
thank you. It was the Bill of Rights, which isn't that controversial, but I'm sure my vice chair, Comrade Ham, you had him on last session. If I remember correctly.
Yeah,
Yes,
we
yes.
did.
Yeah, we were talking about how we wanted to guarantee housing and employment and essentially a freedom from material needs. And sadly, we had our own submission to the convention. Ours didn't pass, of course, but overall, I'm simply glad that we're making progress.
That's good.
It's certainly frustrating that my party,
Are you
we are definitely a minority.
are you
I
guys
know,
gonna
please.
still trying to keep pushing for these articles
Oh, of
to
course.
pass? So you're gonna still
Of course.
inflate them? Okay, okay. That's
Yes, we're very, how do you put, we're very determined. We're totalists. We're called totalists for a reason, and it's not because I want to shoot you in the head if you disagree with me, but I'm not gonna budge on an issue unless you compromise a bit too.
well, because I know the vice chairman of the ALP, Ham, he
Yeah,
brought up about him running for for the presidency to bring state foundation and state planning funding and housing program like you are. Um,
of course.
uh, so you agree with him. So would you sit there next to Vice Chairman Ham for his presidency? Would you try to run for his vice president?
Oh, I would certainly love to. I think that under American Labor Party administration, you see, we want to centralize the economy to provide, how do you put it, equal distribution of resources. You can't guarantee housing to everybody without a structure. You can't guarantee food to everyone without a structure. You need some sort of centralization. And I disagree with many of my comrades on the use of markets because, well, we saw what markets have done under capitalism, and somehow it's going to be different when we switch to a socialist economic system. I sincerely doubt that. Overall, we want to give the people of this country a better life. And every single comrade here does.
Oh,
We simply disagree on how.
you're looking for more of a social program that gives them a better chance of living. That's what you're trying
Well,
to say.
yeah, a
Okay, okay.
centralized economy, a government programs to help people find education, find employment, etc., etc. Not to force them to go in a specific place, but to give them that helping hand they need, especially after the Civil War.
Okay.
Thousands of people have died, and even like families are ruined. Entire regions are completely devastated, and we
Indeed.
need a structure to help them rebuild and make this country better, what it should be.
So you're
You
working
know
on.
what? I
Go ahead.
think if I remember correctly, Union, you were talking about the national uh, National Recovery Administration.
Yeah,
Yes,
yes, Comrade Union was.
the national reconstruction. Well, we're still trying. Of course, we are in the process of working on that currently. We have there are two terms for it depending on the region you live in, the NRA or the SRA, right? The Syndicalist Recovery Administration or the National Recovery Administration. But either way, we are implementing policies within, especially in the South or the Faroes region. We are aware that the PSA wasn't as much harm during the war, but we will definitely entrust them with support in the coming tide. Now we are aware of the devastation in St. Louis, Maryland, and definitely in the state of Louisiana itself and Georgia. Um, but we are currently entrusting our comrades in those communal regions and regional syndicates with support. We have enacted the communal civilian constant reconstruction efforts, or the CCC as we like to call it, the communal conservation corps, all over the regions in order to promote more jobs, more industry, and definitely get our infrastructure up and running. We are aware that this war has definitely devastated a lot of our good comrades, especially in the Midwest. And while we are aware that a lot of people are hostile regarding a new government or new force of nature take us over, we want to show these people that we mean well, and we are making sure that people who lead these communities or these triple C's, as I like to call them, are local. We don't want it to be led by someone who, a carpetbagger from the north, I suppose, and we want to make sure that these are their community. These are their people helping each other out. And we want it to be all a local or a more regional level because we don't want someone from New York or from Chicago telling them what to do. We want their comrades to tell each other. And I
Mm.
believe through education and political theory, these new decentralized communes and syndicates will be entrusted with the power to run themselves and hopefully in the future. We may not need money. We may go to the stars, create our own federation,
Wait,
star
you're going to
federation, if you
stars.
will.
Are you trying to like focus on a more of a space program?
No, I'm just saying that we hope to progress ourselves because as a member of the USAP or the USAP, we prefer to call ourselves, we want workers to run themselves. We don't want them to run. We don't want us to run them. We want the workers to run their own. As a member of the USA USAP, we don't have a leader. officially speaking. We have a
Officially.
spokesperson, our comrade Discordia and comrade Red have surely helped out, but we don't have a leader because we don't need a leader. We use consensus, we use votes, we use democracy. We are
Ah, yes.
organizers, and
Democracy.
we treat ourselves like an organization.
Okay,
We want
okay.
to benefit the worker,
Uh,
and
everybody
So,
does,
in the
comrade.
end,
so are you?
I'm sure, and yes,
All right.
and I just wanna continue in saying we want the human spirit and the human body itself to transcend the need for money, transcend the need of state, and maybe one day we could transcend material conditions of capitalism, of of what capitalism has brought to us in a more negative.
So, anyways, Comrade Yoon, are you running for president, or just you're just sitting out on this one, or are you running as assistant, as a vice president to someone?
If you're asking if I'm running a second time for this great union we live in, I say no.
Okay,
It is time for me to step down. Someone
that's
else take
that's
leadership.
that's fine. But all right.
Fine.
So, do you agree with Dad with doing national reconstruction or basically infrastructure spending and
We
focus on?
already are currently doing reconstruction. The current administration is following
Well,
what we have done
are you
prior.
are you
What
focused on infrastructure, or are you just focused on reconstruction of like the unions only? Like I'm asking, like specifically, are you doing things like infrastructuring, like infrastructure
if
spending?
you're talking, if you're asking me about prioritization, I believe in
No, no, no. I'm saying
infrastructure, of course.
like because you have national reconstruction. National reconstruction can mean many things because it's such a broad statement. I'm asking about infrastructure, like you guys would be fixing roads, the bridges, uh, anything like that.
Essentially, I
Bridges,
think the
highways,
comrade's asking
trains.
focus, like the main focus.
All right, so only
Right.
on the main.
Well,
Okay.
of course, we have different departments focusing different things. I, as someone who isn't in office anymore, or someone that isn't in any much office aside from being a delegate in the Revolutionary Council, I'm not in charge of that anymore. When I was in charge,
Because I
as
know,
general secretary.
because you could say reconstruction means, like we already
No,
doing
no,
reconstruction of the
no,
Constitution, reconstruction of the combined syndicate of America. But I was focused on,
No, no, no. He's
no,
talking
no.
about like
When I was general secretary, my focus was to win the war.
yeah, yeah,
Before
I understand that.
resigning and and having another election, my priority was to set up the NRA and the SRA, right? And we focused specifically on roads, highways, mobile transportations like trains, specifically since there wasn't a lot of highways technically in around the 1937 to 1939. So we
Hmm.
decided on prioritizing transportations like trains to get lots of our comrades from one region to the other. That was mine. Rebuilding housing, rebuilding destroyed infrastructure like skyscrapers and buildings and industry. That was my prerogative, was to build the foundations. Discordia administration was not me. I was in charge of that administration. That was a different USAP member. Now, keep in mind that with regards to what her plans was a different story. I can't necessarily say what that is because she is not here.
Yeah, she can speak for
But
herself.
her,
I'll let her have
yeah,
that.
she can speak for herself. However, what the current administration, what they are doing is, to me, a different story. My relations with the CDR is as impartial as it can be with the SDLU. And
Well,
currently, we are not. I talked to Comrade Reed, or some of the other comrades in CWR regarding reconstruction. So I have no knowledge of what they're currently doing, but I hope they are continuing the Triple C committees as we have been doing earlier. And whoever will be the next general secretary in the future after this constitution is fully uh, finished, hopefully will continue the greater good of the combined system.
But Dad, what about you? Like, what's your plans for the future for the combined syndicate of America?
oh, in general?
Yeah, like how you was bringing up, but for you.
Oh, of course. Well, essentially, as Comrade Union pointed out, And one thing I want to point out before I go forward, uh, I don't mind Comrade Union. He's a great guy. We disagree on a lot, but in the end, good fella. Overall, though, my direction, if I were to become get into a position of power, I would most definitely focus on uh, normalcy in a way. Reintegrating the South would probably be a main goal of mine. Not only do they need food, clothes, housing, and efficient public transportation, they also need, how do you put this? Help ideologically. My comrade in USAP union said that, oh no, we cannot let these Northerners, these carpetbaggers, come in here and try to tell the Southerners what to do. Well, comrade, I'd like to simply point out in 1865, sure, we brought in some carpetbaggers to the South, and when we eventually left, you know what they did? They went right back to what they were doing before the war. So close to it not being legal, and we had to wait. Hell, we still have to wait for it. It's barely changed. So you're going to tell me that, oh, we have to let our comrades in the South do it? I mean, sure. If they don't get brutally murdered by Minutemen, if uh, if they're simply allowed to go forward and we'll help you when you need, there's no security, there's no guarantee. And on that subject, I would most definitely say no. We need the government to come in. Maybe not as hard as we did back in the day with soldiers garrisoned everywhere and military governments in the South. But we definitely need a stronger presence in the South, especially because, as Comrade E.T. pointed out before he left, the man was attacked in Louisiana. We can't tolerate that. We can't tolerate Southerners waiting to bring back the Union State. We can't tolerate the separatists, to be blunt, because we just fought a war. We lost thousands upon thousands of lives, and we can't just sit back and hope that they choose the right thing. But I suppose, yeah, overall, my main goal would be a reunification of the country. And once I get past that, economic stabilization, planning boards alongside unions, collaborating to meet priorities. And then once priorities are met, general diversification. So essentially a normalization of the economy on a more centralized line than most syndicalists, but nothing, how do you say this? Nothing too Bolsheviki, because I know y'all are very afraid of Bolsheviki. I'm not going to be killing any of you. You have my word on that. This is being recorded. You can go back to it. I'm not going to be putting any of you into re-education camps, none of that. I simply want a more centralized state, because once we're done looking inward, we have to help our comrades in France and in Britain, our comrades in Mexico. We have to help spread the revolution because, yeah, we're one of the strongest powers on the planet, but nobody can do it alone. So essentially, in 3 words, reunification, economic stability, sorry, 4 words, and internationalism.
All right, let me bring in Jackson. Hey, Jackson, what's your viewpoint on this? On what the subject they're on at hand right now? Jackson?
Is she
Please say the question again.
I was asking, what's your viewpoints on between Unit and Dad's whole thing? Like, do you have any disagreements or agreements with either?
Well, one, regarding Dad's, regarding Dad, mostly, I don't really have much to say, except, yeah, I don't really have much.
It looks like you were sleeping through part of this. I think you weren't focusing. Thermal, what do you think? What's your thought on it?
Well, as a member of the ALP, I am obviously in favor for Dad's point of view.
What's your
I believe
disagreement between Union?
I feel that his views are too utopian in my eyes.
Mm.
As you know, with the reintegration of the South and PSA, we all want that, to unite once again as all Americans, as we're all brothers. I just feel that the USAP or Union, personally, in this point of view, is more utopian and soft. As what as I agree with what Dad said, is that we can't just leave it to the Southerners to do it alone. As we have seen, and as former director of the CSB and BRP, the South is a very, very anti leftist region. And that even after all these years, they are still Minutemen and terrorists terrorizing and delaying our reintegration. So I feel that we should have a more stronger and more hard line. The way we, I guess, and I guess what I'm trying to say is have a more tough, do more tough actions with the South. As as I, from personal experience, as I spoke to Southerners, is that no matter how hard you try, they will never listen to you. They will. So I feel we should be more tough on them and, in a sense, break this ideology that they will never give in and that they will never surrender and that they will never surrender to us leftist syndicalist red monsters as they view us as.
All
So
right.
I feel yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
go ahead.
no, you're fine. All
Oh,
right. So in the end, you're basically agreeing with Dad's viewpoint over a
uh,
union. Okay, no
Yeah.
problem.
if I
Oh,
may,
yeah, go ahead.
thank you. I just want to have one more point, right? In 1860, when Lincoln was elected president, the Confederate States of America were formed, right? What were those states? Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Louisiana, Georgia, Florida, Texas. I could keep going. And when the Union states seceded, please tell me what states those were. Ah, yeah, the
United
same
States
ones
and
of
Confederates.
the CSA. Yeah, Southerners aren't going to let go of being defeated. There were people who wanted the Confederate States back before the Second War, and now there's going to be people who want the Union State back. Because you can't forget, sure that Long was leading the country, but you had a lot of America First segregationists led by William Dudley Pelley. I could keep going. Charles Lindbergh. You can't just let them do. You leave them to their own devices, and nothing changes. We want efficient change. We want an impact to be done in the South, and that's why I'm proposing a harder stance than most of the comrades here probably would. Thank
May
you.
I also say that
I mean, I'd like people to know that when we say leave them to their own devices, we're not saying leaving them behind. We want Southern comrades to help facilitate and grow socialism in the South. We're not leaving them to rot. We have soldiers stationed there if necessary. We have
Mm,
central security bureaus being formed.
mm-hmm.
We should always and always grow our comrades as as a community because we can't just impose on them in a manner that's harsh. Like look at those occupied regions in the West Europe, right? Look at all those folks under the heel of German oppression, Eastern Europeans, and look at Zamenhof over there trying just basically oppressing his own citizens in Russia. Like, would you want to support a government that seeks to hamper you down for your own beliefs? No, their beliefs are wrong. Granted, it's not something I cannot deny. But if you want to convince someone, you can't change their mind by saying they're wrong. You gotta circle back and think of a way that could properly, get these people
Of course.
enticed to the syndicalist idea
I'm not.
through
I'm not
economic
saying.
policy. Oh, no, no, let me finish. And through
No, of course.
economic policy, through political education, and through, a velvet glove and security, we can eliminate these discordant vassals of warlords.
All right.
And we are aware that they are
Let Dad in.
that there may be that no, we are aware that they are Minutemen out there in the south, and if necessary, we will hunt them down.
All
It's
right. Go ahead.
never been not in my
Come
proposal
on, Rune. Just
or
stand
in the
by.
group chat at all.
Let Dad respond. Go ahead.
Oh yes, yes, but if I were to finish, um, keep in mind that the USAP and the people, I hope, in the CWR would gladly eliminate these enemy terrorists harming the South. And I suppose if there are any, and there probably is, the PSA and the Federalist,
Well, you're always gonna
there you
have
go.
some form of some
Resistance, yeah.
resistance or terrorist
Yes,
activity
always,
after
always,
any major civil war or revolution war. You look at the French
definitely.
Revolution; they had the exact same issue going on during, after, during, and before. They were beheading people who were innocent after they beheaded, the king and the queen.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's why I advocate for a red velvet approach. We must approach them not with a black bear fist,
Of
but a
course.
velvet glove.
I'm not saying that I'm going to go around and shoot every single Union Army officer. I'm not saying
Yes, yes,
I'm not saying that I'm going to go into a town and find out what who did what and where and line men up against a wall and execute them. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that first off, if we haven't already, we might have though. We try the former government, the members of the government of the AUS for treason. We take their general staff, do the same thing. And then once that's finished, we go into the South with the military that we have. Not our entire force, but a decent little garrison in the major cities to be deployed if needed. And you need the government to be involved. I never said you were going to leave the South behind. I would never think that you are going to just let them be to their own device. But I'm simply
right.
advocating for more support that we will need people from the north coming down to the south, not to impose our own ideology, but to be blunt, our southern comrades, if they weren't killed when they rose up when the war began, if there's any left, they'll need our support. And I'm not saying you're not going to give
Yes,
them
and
our
they
support.
definitely will.
It's just
And of course, no, I mean, yes, you are correct, and we will send people from the north, but we don't want them to look as if they are the carpetbaggers of the south,
no,
as the south has always seen. And we will definitely have the central security bureaus taking
of
care
course,
of
yeah.
it with anti subversive action.
All right.
No, yeah.
Well,
Well,
let's stay with the Constitution right now. Let's get back on the Constitution when we aren't earlier. We're dragging too long on these subjects. So quick question about the Constitution. What articles have you guys, other than trying to get housing and stuff going on, have you guys set a standard how the articles go through the House of Representative legislation?
I'm not a part of the official government, though I am part of the Revolutionary Council. I'd simply like to say that my party is a minority in most of these discussions, and for the most part, we are generally mocked by my comrades to my right. So sadly, I can't answer that question. You'll have to talk to members of the USAP and, more importantly, members of the CWR.
All right. All right. See, say those again. Those two groups,
Oh, the USAP and the
USCP
CWR.
and CWR.
Sorry, could you repeat the question again, Mr. Eric?
Um, all right. So you have your amendments and bills. You go through. All right. How do you set those through?
Oh,
Are you setting
oh,
them,
so
or how are you
um,
doing what the original Constitution did, or are you changing it up, or doing it a little different?
oh no, we have there is an election committee currently, comprising of some of our comrades in that committee, right? And they have already finalized a sort of way to organize. So the first article, if I remember, was about the Bill of Rights. The second one
Mm-hmm.
was the governmental structure, and the next one, I believe, is the economical
Yep.
side of things. But we have organized the articles
All
in
right.
a manner that would be befitting. So we have an election committee for that.
Well, because right here, okay, in the original Constitution of America, all right, it said in section Article 1, Section 7, Clause 2, every bill which shall have passed the House of the Representatives and the Senate shall before it become a law, uh, be presented to President of the United States. If he approves, he shall sign it. But if not, he shall return it with his objections to the House, in which it is shall have originated, who shall enter the objections at large on their journal and procedure to consider it. and I can keep going on
This
down.
is the original. This is the U.S. or the CSA
This is the
Constitution.
U.S.
This is the original U.S. It's not the whole thing. I can keep going because it still keeps going. But I was asking, like, how you going to set up the bills to go in order? Like, are you going to set it has to go the House of Representatives first, and then through the Senate, and then to the President's desk? Or are you going to send it as either or could do it? And then
Well,
it has to
I
go a certain procedure. That's what I'm saying. Which order?
well, since we're not finished with the Constitution yet, and we're still almost half of the way, it would it would vary, right? And so since the Article the two that's been passed was made by the CWR, it would go into the House, the equivalent of the House, the equivalent of the Senate, which would be the trade union, um, the Congress of Syndicates, technicality wise, and then if I remember, um, 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 don't quote me on this per se because we do not have a CWR on this, but there should be a general secretary and a president, I believe. Now I know the USAP article had one, and the president is above the general secretary, and if that article did pass, then it would go the traditional sense of the House, the Senate, and the presidency.
So no meaningful change to the process of legislation.
Okay.
No, no, no. I'm not saying that per se because I was describing the USAP proposal
No,
or
yeah.
the state model.
Well,
Hmm.
all right, that's fine. So you're gonna allow it to go either or, and it has to go both sides of the House and the Senate, and then it gets to the president's desk.
Our equivalent, I'm
Yeah,
assuming, yeah.
yeah, it's still similar, but a little different.
Hmm.
All right. But anyways, are you gonna keep anything from the original Bill of Rights and the Constitution of the
Of
original United
course,
States? Uh, like, can you name a few that you have already put down?
freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to assembly, but the newest ones that I
So
remember
you're
the
keeping.
first article to have was with most of them, yes, but we have added more like the right to a house, the right
Hmm.
to a union, right
Hmm.
of a lot of things
So
in a
you're
nutshell
gonna
that
at
the
least keep.
capitalist in structures.
So you're going to at
No,
least
I
keep the
mean,
First Amendment. The Congress shall not make a law representing an establishment of a religion or prohibit the
yes.
freedom of extension, therefore, or abridge of the freedom of speech of the press or the rights of the people peacefully to assemble and petition the government for redress of grievance.
Yeah.
It says in Article 1, Section 1 of the Combined Syndicates of America Constitution that citizens are guaranteed the freedom of the press, freedom of speech, the freedom of association, freedom of assembly, and the freedom to hold public meetings and demonstration.
So
Freedom of conscience and freedom of religion are guaranteed to its citizens. The church is
okay.
separate
So
from the state.
still the same. How about the one of the most important ones? Article of Amendment 4.
Please read that out.
The Article 4 of the original was the right of the people to be secure in their person, house, papers, and effects, and against an unreasonable search and seizures shall not be
Hmm.
violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon a plausible cause, supported by oath or affiliation, and
That would
particularly
be
description of
sorry,
the place of the search and the person of yeah, excuse me. The place to be searched and the person or things should be siege. Siege.
that would be Article 1, Section 3 of the CSA Constitution, where
Okay.
it says citizens of America are guaranteed an inviolability of the persons. No one may be arrested except by court decision or on the warrant of a prosecutor, so and so on. Citizens of America are guaranteed an inviolability of the home. No one may, without lawful ground, enter a home against the will of those residing in.
So
The
after.
Article 1, the Article 1 that was passed was from the USAP, just as disclaimer.
All right. So
Just one question.
all right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
We do still have the right to bear arms, correct? That the worker
Yes.
hasn't. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. I've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
focused
They
on
run
some
that.
other things.
If you were here for the last one and you weren't.
No, I sadly
Um.
wasn't.
Yeah, I know that. I wasn't sure you watched it or not. They did bring it about to keeping the Second Amendment alive and
Oh, thank
perfect
God.
well.
Thank
So
the Lord.
that was the number one thing they all agreed that to keep the Second Amendment,
Perfect.
the right to bear arms.
Good, good.
I was just checking up on the Fourth Amendment and the First Amendment because we didn't really touch
That
those in the
would
first one.
just as a add-on.
Um.
Comrade Union's internet has committed seppuku. Good to know.
Just.
Oh, he's back.
Return.
Just making sure. Sorry. Just to add in Article 1, Section 12 of the CSA Constitution does this say that citizens have the right to bear arms in order to operate a well-regulated militia for the
Grand.
defense of their state
Perfect.
and to engage in recreational activities.
Understood.
All right. All right. So, can you name any other ones from the articles, the original articles? Or are you gonna keep any of the other ones in the articles? I'm trying to find 8. Here it is.
I believe for the slavery part, which is Amendment 13, if I remember, we have removed the clause that would imply that anyone that is in prison will become basically in involuntary servitude. We have made sure that that part of the clause is removed in order to help facilitate rehabilitation within prison. If there are any.
All right. Good. I was just
That's
reading it
why
real
I was
quick.
sorry.
All right. So, was it? All right. So, can you name any other articles you're gonna keep from the original of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and the amendments?
For the most part, correct me if I'm wrong, though, Comrade Union. They've generally kept the basic idea of all of them, simply with a
Generally,
modification. And that's not a bad
we
thing.
we definitely modernize them to combat the current capitalist structure of the United States into a more socialist point of view, right? We made it, we kept the framework in a sense, but we didn't necessarily keep the wording of some of them in order to promote a more socialist aspect or a more socialist perspective and reinvigorate America into a more crimson manner, if that makes any sense.
You kept the foundation, but you built a new house.
Exactly. And if that house is not united, then we will fall.
All right. All right. Are you gonna give us any leak? Well, not leaks. Any capability to review or look at the uh Constitution or the Bill of Rights to give us the copies for the Solidarity News and Radio?
Oh, yes, of course, definitely. I am technically, for now, until the end of this constitution, a member of the election committee. So I will definitely give you a copy of this, as well as any other necessary. But keep in mind, I am not just one person. As USAP policy mandates that I must act nonpartisan, should the time be, for my fellow worker. And there are many other members in the election committee you can definitely ask, right? Comrade Hoy for Senate, could you mute your mic for a bit for me?
Sure.
Thank you,
Okay,
buddy.
thank you.
Fresh. Do
And
you?
Yeah, that'd be most.
Hey, Fresh. Do you have anything else bring up or say?
Yeah, you're welcome to ask me stuff. Yeah.
Not particularly right now. I guess the APL could comment on how they feel about the surprising victory by the radical libertarian socialists.
Well, first off, not to be rude, my friend, it's the ALP, American Labor Party, not the American Party of Labor, but we might switch it around. Overall,
Oh, sorry.
no, it's perfectly fine. Yeah. Overall, it was definitely disappointing. You know, I had my boys working with centralist USAP members and social democrats alike, and we were just destroyed by an anarchist supermajority. And to be completely blunt, I'm kind of worried. That seems like a totalist thing to do. Oh, we have a simple majority. Bye bye. All of your ideas gone. And I don't know. It's personally, of course, I'm going to be very partisan, very sectarian. We'll never deny that. It's rather unanarchistic that we recognize you tried to make a choice, and we shall completely ignore it because we won the vote. One thing, as much as I hate to admit, about American liberal democracy was that it had clauses, admittedly not clauses that were not effective, but clauses nonetheless that protected the minority opinion. And I want to clarify, even though I am a totalist, I will never utterly ignore a comrade. I'm willing to work with sincerely anybody. Uh, People in the Union Hall have called me a murderer. Basically, they've accused me of, oh, when this is all over, is he just going to shoot me in the skull? And I'm like, oh, that's not really how I roll. Uh, I don't know why, but people are afraid of my party, of my comrades, because of this name, totalism, right? But I
Hmm.
want to simply say, American totalism is not. It's not Mosley. It's not.
Yeah, I can definitely. It seems
It's
to
not
get a bad
Mussolini.
rap from the European
Yeah,
totalists.
and I'm going to be blunt. They're
The
still my
totalist like
comrades.
Mussolini.
As much
Oh
as I hate to
yes.
say. But I am not Mussolini. I am not Mosley. I am me. I am Commie Dad. And Commie Dad will not round people up and put you into labor camps if you disagree with me. I might do that with reactionaries so they can repay their debt to the state, but that's better than me killing them, isn't it?
You you
I'm
you're using it's like the different types of Christians, because Christian has the same
essentially,
issue, because they treat
yeah,
Mormons like they're not as the same Christians as
yeah,
a
yeah,
Catholic is.
of course. Or like how some people differentiate between Christian and Catholic. Like, no, you're all Christian. I'm a Jew personally. That might influence how I look at things. If somebody doesn't come up to me and like, "Oh, you a Jew?" I'm like, "No, I'm a reformist." No, I'm still a Jew. Uh,
Then would you advocate for anti-discrimination laws?
oh, I'm all for those. I think there should be a strong wording in support of Native communities, of people of color, of people of different religions, because for too long, this country has been dominated by a Protestant, white, rich class of people, and we're sweeping that away. We need to start a new world, and the most important part of that new world
Then,
is true equality.
do you agree that the Native Americans deserve some form of their own nation in our nation,
Of course, of
or
course.
like a small
Special
segregation,
commune.
like their own
Well,
little
no,
state that's still part of
yeah,
us, but their
no,
own
I'm fine with that. I
council?
no, of course, I know what you mean. If the Indian reservations, if they want to abolish those, we will. I'm in total favor of asking them, hey, are you all right with staying here, or do you want to go somewhere else?
Okay,
I'm in full support of self determination.
because
I'm in full support of ethnic. How do you put it?
you're against it.
Honestly,
I get it. You're against segregation. You want to have everybody treated
yeah,
as a full straight
but
equal.
it's a complicated road, right? Because I don't want to
Yeah,
push
yeah.
people out of where they've lived for a few decades to accommodate people who are coming out from somewhere else. That's never worked well. But at the exact same time, you have to recognize that the system of privilege that we've had has to go, and there's going to be things that people are going to lose that they're not going to be happy about. But we are going to be sure to compensate them with the new system we create. The goal of totalism, in my mind, is a centralized state for the achievement of socialism, as departed comrade Lenin thought of it, with equality for people of different colors, different races, different
Hmm.
religions, different languages. And I will stick by that until I am dismissed from my party, and I sincerely doubt I will be. I hope that answers your question. If not, please, I'm
No, no, no. That
perfect.
answers my
That's a
question.
good sentiment.
Yeah,
Also, I actually got an agree with comes with that. I think that there should be I think that there should be like rights for like everybody, including because like the old government did a lot of bad things with the Native Americans. Like they kicked
hmm,
them out of their lands by annexing
yes,
them with something like because of the racist president
of
who
course.
owned a lot of slaves basically. So like I think that we should basically give some land back to the Native Americans, but like basically autonomy for the Native Americans and
Oh, yeah,
solidarity
of
with a
course.
lot of people. And like also there's been a lot of discrimination in the South, like
Yeah,
with the Jim Crow laws and stuff. We must abolish the Jim Crow
no, yeah,
laws
and that is
so
why
that
I've pushed
people
for
of
Well,
a
color
strong.
have solidarity.
that's what unions focus on as much as dad is.
Hmm,
They both
yeah,
agree in that, but not in the exact same format.
yes.
Of course.
Same goal, different path.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah,
All right. Um. Comrade Ewan, you're there?
I am here.
What do you have to say about all that? Like, what's your view?
Hmm. I share a lot of sentiments coming from many other parties, right? As a member of the USAP, I understand that the anarchists have a growing majority. Many people in the USAP itself lean um, to the decentralist side of the CSA. I, as a USAP, as one of the prominent figures of USAP, right? I can't tell them necessarily what to do. Unlike the ALP or the SDLU, we don't necessarily have a hierarchy. We form as an industrial union.
Yeah,
Our
we have a party line.
priority first, our priority first and foremost is to promote syndicalism. Whether it's anarcho and whether it's state syndicalism doesn't matter to us as long as it's syndicalism. I mean, I have had my disagreements with Jansen from the decentralist wing, and I have had my disagreements with Ramsey from the federalist wing. And, whichever one passes, we understood as a Big Ten syndicalist group that we must first and foremost protect syndicalism and protect the American worker, and at some point remove that American. Because we are all workers of the world, and as a proud member of the IWW, um, I believe that we are all workers. My occupation or my nationality isn't American. It's a worker. Maybe at some point we might not have to. That's definitely far off, and I'll be probably dead by then. First and foremost, as a USAP member, syndicalism first, worker, prominent.
All right. Anything else you got to say, Fresh? Like, bring up before we call it for the night?
Nothing in particular. I guess they could comment on the like assassination attempt for like a quick minute.
Mm.
So, what's your guys' viewpoints on that? The attempted
Oh yeah,
assassination.
on
Uh,
the delegate in Louisiana.
Yeah, I would
I
like to
have
point
some
out,
things to say
I,
about that.
I mean, I would like to point out
Galaxy.
that
That's who. It's Galaxy.
the person that was alleged to have tried to shoot Sir E.T. Galaxy, right? Comrade E.T. Galaxy was apparently associated with the Pink Guard. And the Pink Guard is associated
Oh
with
my
a
God.
specific discordant faction of the Totalists. That's not the ALP, but a
Yeah,
different
they were expelled from the
totalist group.
ALP very, very
Yeah,
quickly.
they were expelled from the AOP, yes. And we would like to be aware that these so-called totalist comrades are apparently working with reactionaries.
Yeah,
Like
it's
to
quite
ask our
ironic.
viewers, I'd
I
like to ask our viewers, why is that?
It's my personal
When I,
opinion. Skrill is a dirty traitor. That's all.
I would like to say that if you all remember, Skrill herself has said several times she was a longest sympathizer.
Yeah, it's not wrong. She has. Hmm. Overall, sorry. I think that we need a stronger security presence in the South. We need to crack down both on uh, reactionary elements in the South and, as much as I hate to admit, uh, reactionary elements in the North. Uh, Perhaps not as strongly, but there are still people out there who will gladly take up a rifle and try to shoot our general secretary if they get the chance. And we need to get on a path to change that.
I can say this from personal experience, as if any of you heard when I came home after the war from Sacramento. Yeah, my house did not was not in the best state. I'll say that.
of course, while we as comrades disagree, of course, with a lot of our opinions, I mean, I'd like to tell our listeners or our readers per se in the far future that wherever you are and wherever you're living right now in the combined syndicates of America, I'd like to welcome all of y'all and hope that every one of you, whether or not you're working or you're sleeping currently or you're about to sleep, sorry,
Yeah.
um, to have a good night or have a good morning. And I hope to our European comrades listening that we wish you a solidarity forever. And the Commonwealth of Toil will definitely reach your shores soon and help you against that great black boot of German oppression.
Mm.
Also,
especially our Italian friends.
Good sentiment.
also, on my point of view of the assassination and stuff, I think it's a very outrageous to me because even though even though the AOS hates cynicalism, I never knew that they were trying to assassinate a person visiting Louisiana. But it's very outrageous to me.
Well, the ASU was composed of completely like reactionaries, so it's not
Yeah.
that surprising in my regard.
I wasn't surprised as a former director of CSB and BRP. I had to deal with the occupation of or pacification of the South, as you would say it.
I'm not surprised. I'm simply disappointed.
Exactly.
I am the same here. We expected this and these discordant rebels and terrorists to undermine the winning victors, and we shall definitely counteract these rebels.
This is why I feel we should have more security, at least to our
No,
public
we will.
officials.
No, yeah, we will. We'll get to that. But I'm thinking it's time to wrap the stream up, yeah?
All right.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna say my last thing I have to say for the everyone. Thank you for stopping by. This is Solidarity News and Radio. Thank you for showing up. Just say thanks to our sponsor, Red Reeds. Uh, smoke one, smoke them all, smoke the best. Red Reeds.
Well, you bet your ass I will.
Have a good one. Thank you guys for stopping by.
All day forever.
Solidarity
Solidarity
forever.
forever.
Solidarity.
Solidarity forever. Long live the revolution.
Good
There
night.
we go.